Have you ever considered what it would be like if you were a frickin' bull? No? Well, I think you lack a certain kind of imagination. We'll stay in the mythology from ancient Greece and Assassin's Creed Odyssey to take a look at the Minotaur. We are going to look at the creature that is well known by many, but what do you really know about the strong man with the bull's head? Or as the Roman poet Ovid referred to it, part man, part bull. This creature has a rather lonely life because it was doomed to dwell the labyrinth of King Minos. So, the Minotaur, partially man, partially bull. Guardian of the labyrinth, the Minotaur has a rather cruel origin story. Like most myths anyway. To have a proper understanding, we have to start with King Minos. His domain was the island of Crete. Minos had to compete for the throne with his brothers before he was king, and one day he prayed to the god of the sea to send him a so-called snow bull, as a sign of support. He was expected to kill this bull to please the god of the sea, but since the bull was such a beauty to behold, Minos decided to sacrifice one of his own bulls instead. Poseidon was not pleased at all, and punished Minos by making his beloved wife, the queen, fall in love with the snow bull. She actually loved the bull so much that she had Daedalus, a legendary craftsman of that time, make a hollow cow so she could mate with the bull. I'll give you a moment to realize how cruel the mythology actually can be. This process ended up impregnating our beloved queen, and you've guessed it, the Minotaur was born of this weird ritual of interspecies breeding. The queen loved her child and nursed it to adulthood, but once being an adult it was uncontrollable and killed men right and left. So back to our king. King Minos had Daedalus, the legendary craftsman, make a giant labyrinth near his palace in Knossos, where the beast had to spend the rest of its time. This was the weird and somewhat cruel origin story of the Minotaur. Now, let's have a look at how it came to its end, which is actually a bit more common known than its origin story. To tell this myth properly, we have to go to the hero Theseus, an Athenian prince. At the time, Athena was punished by a plague, and if they wanted the plague to remain absent, they had to make human sacrifices to the Minotaur of Crete every so many years. When the third time approached, our hero Theseus volunteered to slay the beast to be rid of the plague forever. He then promised his father, the king of Athena named Aegeus, that if he succeeded, the crew would use white sails when returning home. If he failed and therefore died, the crew would fly black sails. So Theseus departed for Crete, where he managed to gain the affection of the king's daughter, named Ariadne, who in turn helped Theseus navigate the labyrinth with a ball of wool to find his way back. Theseus slayed the Minotaur in the heart of the labyrinth by stabbing it in the throat. Other stories actually tell of him strangling it, or even decapitating it, but I like the one in the throat better. After the fight, Theseus used the string to find his way back out of the great labyrinth of Daedalus. Then they escaped Crete with the princess of Crete and ended up on the island of Naxos on their way back, looking for water and food. But Naxos was the domain of a god, the god of wine, festivities, and the primal energy of life. They fled the island to survive, but they left the Crete princess behind, which in turn couldn't stand being separated from our hero Theseus and ended her life. Sad. Because Theseus and the crew had to leave Naxos in such a hurry, they even forgot to raise the white sails of success and sailed into the Athenian waters with black sails, which made the king Aegeus throw himself off a cliff of sorrow. This is why the sea is called the Sea of Aegeus up until this day. This is how the story ends of the Minotaur, slaughtered by a hero who lost so much to do that, so that you would not even be able to tell who came out on top in this mythology. He lost someone who loved him and someone he loved. but he did erase the plague that was upon his people. So that's the story of the Minotaur. Now let's move on. A fun fact is that in some of the stories it's not specified which part of the Minotaur is bull and which is human. So some illustrations portray the opposite of what we assumed so far. This illustration came very close to what we now know as the Centaur. Another theory is that the Minotaur and King Minos have been claimed to be one and the same, by some scholars going deeper into the mythology later on. The Minotaur has also been interpreted as the sun god of Creed. This one's for the Dark Souls fans out there. So now we know its story. Have we seen it in games before? Well, yes. Not always under its own name, but the combination of a man's body with a bull's head comes back in so many titles that I can't even begin to list all of them. Here are some of the prominent ones. To begin with, Rice, the son of Rome. And we have God of War, obviously multiple times, and Dark Souls. He is one of the easy bosses because he's been bugged out so many times that you can't even, I don't know, make a campfire on him. That's bad. No. Don't use that. Now, I have only one very important question to ask you, and I need you to answer it truthfully. Would you rather be a man with a bull's head or a bull with a man's head? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and the other episodes from Assassin's Creed history as well. I've been your host, What's Up, for the Mastermind channel. Have a beautiful day, and goodbye.